Hi guys, it's Nicole and I've got a long one for you today. This is basically going to be my January 2026 craft room reset. However, all of this footage was probably November and December. The first part of the video, I am going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some changes that I made to my room. A couple of you guys noticed in the background of the Hear Me Out podcast with Lisa over at Life and Layouts that I have bookcases on this wall now. And this was back in November, I want to say. I had mentioned in my Facebook group, which is always linked in the description if you want to join me over there, that I was researching some options at IKEA to try to figure out I needed more homes for more things. Every couple years in my room, I have to kind of knuckle down and figure out what's not working, what's a better method to store something, to access something, do I need to keep something, those types of thoughts. And I want to say for the majority of this year, I have known that just the path that I'm on and the amount of stuff that's kind of coming into my room on a monthly basis, that I needed more homes. And the only direction I can go is up. So I needed to go vertical and I needed to rethink how I store some things. And I really wanted to be a little bit more intentional about what is stored out and about, where it's more easily accessible versus closed in my closet, which I don't love the closet. I call it the closet of doom for a reason. It doesn't make me happy. That's a project for another day. But in my Facebook group, I had posted a couple screenshots from IKEA, kind of asking for advice. And originally, I had thought I was going to go with some dressers to be able to put things in drawers and then maybe hang some shelves on the walls in order to go vertical. I had watched a couple like craft room tours from people, and that seemed to be a pretty common thing. However, I wasn't really sure with the newer dressers from IKEA. A lot of times the drawers don't open. Oh, look at that. Look at that suggestion of two people. It's me. It's just me. I don't need that second person. I'm going to get this done alone. It was fine, I promised. Anywho, the drawers don't always open completely, so I was questioning that, and then I even considered like going down to the showroom with things that were like 6x12, die envelopes, like the things that I was wanting to store. I thought I would go do a dry run. Ultimately, I was like, I don't love the price tag, to be honest, and I wasn't 100% convinced that I would like the dresser. So I kept kind of cruising the store, and I found these bookcases where the bottom of the bookcase is two fairly deep drawers, and they do open more than that halfway point, like the safety feature. So I ended up buying two of these for less than the cost of one dresser, and so I was like, yes, let's do that. And with that being said, I do kind of want to mention Lisa and I talked in an episode on the podcast about affiliate links and having the ability to turn a hobby into a side hustle, and the blessing of that is not lost on me. So I do just kind of want to thank anybody that has ever used an affiliate link to shop for literally anything, whether it was something that I influenced you to buy, or you just clicked on my link and bought the things that you enjoy and I received that affiliate commission. I save that and reinvest it into this hobby. I save it for things like furniture. I save it for things like upgrading my camera, hard drives. Everything sort of goes back into this to continue to provide you guys just a tiny amount of motivation or inspiration. I know that there's so much content out there. There's so many creators out there. And just the fact that some of you have made that step to go and click on my links with intention, I cannot say thank you enough. And I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that sometimes when you see things like this, it can be a little, I don't know, it can kind of make you look at your space a little bit differently, and there can be a little bit of envy. And I do not want you guys to feel that way. I am working with a very small extra bedroom, and I have always been somebody who will take hand-me-down furniture, have mismatched furniture, and live with that for as long as I possibly can until it's just no longer working. And in that meantime, I am setting aside money here and there and saving things up so that I can purchase a set of drawers or a desktop or a bookcase, that type of thing. I never want these videos to make anybody feel a certain kind of way. I want you guys to just kind of have more of a behind the scenes look of things that go on in and around my channel, if that makes sense. I feel like there's so many things that can come up with this type of content, and I promise you guys, my intent is never to make anybody envious. I never want to have anybody leave my video having had the ick. So I'm hoping that these videos are more of just something that you guys can put on in the background, do some crafting, and maybe learn a little bit more about, things behind the scenes of my channel and what goes into those videos that you see on my channel. Now, again, I did all of this by myself. I am somebody who very much, I'm not going to wait around for help. I'm going to do it myself. These cubes, these are very old. These are not the ones from Michael's. These are the ones that came out from Crop and Store prior to that. I want to say they're like 15-inch cubes instead of 13-inch cubes. They are attached to each other, so I have to move them two at a time. And I mean, you guys should know by now, I did not empty any of them. They were heavy. And I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this by ourselves. We're gonna move it like a teenager in the middle of the night moving your furniture in your room, which I find it weird my kids don't do that. Everybody I know that grew up would one day decide that they wanted to move their furniture around, and while everybody was sleeping, we moved everything by ourselves. So I think that prepared me for tasks like this. At one point, my Fitbit was congratulating me on working really hard on my workout, and I was like, yeah, thanks for that. I haven't worked out in a while, but you know what? I'll take it. Now, these cubes, don't get me wrong, they're not my favorite, but again, there's something that I invested in at least 15 years ago. They are good quality. They hold things that are scrapbook sized. My 6x6 pads have lived in that 2x2 configuration for a very long time. So I always try to make these work somewhere in my room. At first I thought that this configuration would work, and then I was like, girl, you are too short. You cannot reach the boyfriend anymore. And so I'm like, okay, now we gotta go get a measuring tape, and we gotta figure out how much room is going on here, and can I go 3x2 instead of 2x3. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch these out. This is just an example of if something in your room furniture wise does work but can kind of be reconfigured, just play around and see if there's another configuration that maybe works a little bit better. These two are not attached to each other, so I am able to flip them around. I don't even remember why at that point. I loved this. I loved the fact that the boyfriend is now basically belly button height and I can reach everything, but I have forgotten that there's those 3 cubes right there. And now I'm like, oh no. These are the Michael's cubes. They're not my favorite. They're squeaky, but they work really well to store like random tools and stuff. So I'm going to put them up here, and don't get me wrong, the gap that's going to happen, I don't love the gap. I hear you guys, anybody with OCD, it 100% is going to bother you. I hear you. It bothers me as well. But this is something that I do a lot. I will move things around. I will settle at a place where I'm about 90% happy, and I will live with that configuration and that setup for a while to see if it's just the fact that my daily view of things has changed and I'm uncomfortable about that, or if the arrangement really just doesn't work in application. So at this point, I'm about 2 months into having lived with this, And I don't know, I'm still kind of on the fence about those 3 cubes being there, but there's not really anywhere else for me to put them other than the Closet of Doom. So they're going to have to stay there until I deal with the closet, which might be more of like a summer project because I'm just not in the headspace and I don't have the time to deal with it. Now, these need to be anchored to the wall. Normally, I would be like, let's just wing it. No, there's going to be heavy stuff on here. And because this is upstairs and it's on carpet, anytime I walk near like those cubes, they jiggle a little bit because they're not anchored. So this was a new skill that I needed to learn. And I'm very much somebody who will just text my husband at work and be like, hey, where's the drill? Where's the ladder? Where's the this? And then I get like a phone call of like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's fine. I got YouTube. I can figure this out. Fun fact, the stud finder that I'm using doesn't work. And that's why I was having such a hard time. Apparently the previous owners of this house left it. So here I am, back fresh from a trip to Lowe's where I got a new stud finder. I bought myself a set of drill bits and stuff to use because I hate trying to find my husband's. So I bought like the whole little kit and I just steal his drill but use my bits. And I feel like I did pretty good. I only made the 2 holes that needed to be made and I feel like it was successful. They're not falling off the wall. 2 months after the fact, I'm not 100% sure if I ended up doing like wall anchors or if I hit studs. I think my intention was to, find a stud and anchor it in there. It's one of those things where after a while I was just like, you know what, if I hit a stud, great. If not, we got wall anchors and a prayer and it'll be fine. If you've been at my channel for a while, one of the themes of my channel is it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be perfect, but it will be fine. So, new skill unlocked with this. I actually just built another bookcase for my daughter and moved some furniture around in her room. So putting the wall anchors on her bookshelf, I was like, oh, I got this. Like, we don't need to spend 20 minutes reading the instructions and watching some old man on YouTube teach me how to do it. But I appreciate him. Again, YouTube is full of so much that you can learn. But yeah, I left this footage in here because I was like, these are the types of videos that for whatever reason they do really well on my channel. And I never really know why. I don't know if it's the visual. I don't know if it's the length of the video, which allows you guys to put it on similar to like the podcast where you can put it on, have the same thing play for a while and get some stuff accomplished. So I did cut it down from an hour and a half to just under an hour. So you're welcome for that. Now, I went ahead, assembled the drawers so you can see them here. I really like that they are pretty deep. And that was one of the things that I was focused on when I was on IKEA's website, was really looking at the diagram of the sizes, because I wanted to move some things from my closet out here, hoping that having better access to them would mean potentially getting them used a little bit more. This drawer specifically, I am going to be able to put my 8x8 pads, my 6x8 pads, and then my 6x6 pads all in the same place. I loved those cubes to the right because the 6x6 pads fit so well in them, and they were split, I want to say, between all 4 drawers. I don't think any of them were empty. But that meant that these 8x8s were in my closet. The newer size, which is the 6x8s that everybody's doing, were also in the closet, but in a different area. And for me, I try to plan where I'm going to put things based on how my brain works when I'm sitting down to craft. If I'm sitting down and let's say I am working through like an Allison Davis 6x6 class or one of the sketch bundles that's geared towards 6x6 papers, 8x8 and 6x8 is the same thing. The patterns are scaled down, so I'm going to want to look through those as well, but I don't want to go to 3 different places. So I was like, let me see if I can get all of them to fit in this drawer. I'm not going to be able to get all of them in the drawer, but I have always kept the pads that are B-side specific, or like they're all notebook print or they're all text print. Those I consider to be basics, so you can see them here. I have always kept those in a separate drawer by themselves. They tend to get mixed and matched with anything and everything. So I like having those more readily available. So to fix the problem of the fact that all of these aren't going to fit in this drawer, I'm going to move those to a basket right above the drawer. Is it aesthetically pleasing? No, but it's fine. It works, it serves the purpose, and it makes sense to me and my workflow. If it doesn't make sense to you and your workflow, then you got to do something different. And I didn't purchase any like bins, baskets, none of that. Every single time I go through and do any kind of reorganizing in my room and I empty a bin or a basket, plastic trays, all of that, I keep that in like a cardboard box in my closet, and I basically shop from that. So it's like my little container store in a sense. I just go straight to that and kind of try to figure out, okay, do I already own something that will work? And I'm very much, it needs to serve the purpose. It doesn't need to look pretty. I'm not somebody who is filming with like a studio background where you have like everything is displayed and it looks beautiful. I'm filming across the room at my desk and the camera is pointed down. I think the only time you'll see this is in videos like this and possibly in the background of the podcast, because the last 2 episodes were video. Not real sure what season 2 is going to be as far as video goes, but they've been in the background and you guys have noticed and asked about them. I, having lived with them for 2 months, I love these. And I think I have enough room. I would have to take the anchors off and re-anchor them, so that will be a long time before I consider it. I think I could go 4 of these across that whole wall and eventually get rid of those cubes. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure on getting rid of them, but they could possibly get reconfigured into my closet. So one day. Again, I like to live with things, especially major redos. Like I would consider this for a year or 2. Save my pennies for reinvesting in furniture and that kind of stuff, and maybe revisit it in, another year or 2. Now, figuring out what's going to go where and the shelves is something that is obviously it's going to, it's different for everybody. Visually, would it look nice to have both bookcases have the shelves in the same place? Absolutely. But again, I'm going for function over it looks cute. So I had some items where I was like, I 100% want this stuff out because I want to be able to access it quickly, but I also want to be able to put it away quickly, because that's something that really kind of slows me down and causes me to just set things in a pile for another day. Whereas if it's out and it's accessible and it's a quick put away, I am more apt to put things away. So at this point is where I am trial and error. I just kind of grab some things that I know I want stored here. I start figuring out, okay, what will fit here, what won't fit here, and work my way down that list. I decided to move my binders that I keep classes and sketches to this top section. So I just measured how tall a binder was and put that shelf there, which is going to create this smaller shelf here. And I was like, you know what? I could probably put my stitching stuff here. Having it out is more apt for me to put things away. I really liked the fact that my like tiny hearts and tiny stars fit right next to it. However, I have since changed that up, but now that I'm watching this video, I think I'm going to put it back. Again, I made, I would say like 75% of decisions, and I was like, I'm going to live with it. I'm going to see how I like it, and I can always change things and reconfigure them. Like at this point, I have my Spellbinders craft stacks down there on the right. I use those to house projects that I want to work on. And I keep everything in there even after I make the project. And then once I take the photos, I put everything away, put the dies where they need to go, put the cards away for a share video, empty the thing, refill it with kind of the next project. I loved how they fit next to the basket with the 6x6 pads, but I've already moved them. And again, it's one of those things where it's just, I have behind me on the desk a lot of the things that I want to have out and accessible to grab quickly and be able to clean up quickly. So a lot of these fridge bins have dies in them. At the very beginning of the video, they were sitting on top of those cubes that were kind of basically becoming a counter height work area. And I was growing out of those. Like there was a lot. Like I love me some dies, but when you keep bringing them in, you gotta realize that you need more fridge bins. So I just slowly chipped away, and if I got to the point where I felt like I was having decision fatigue, I moved on to something else. So I've moved on to the drawer situation down here, which for me, the things in the drawers, I knew that I wanted to have product in there that takes up a lot of space in my closet, because all of these stamps were in those fridge bins, and I can get more of them in these drawers, and then having them in the drawer to me is much easier to flip through. And I also like that they are just tucked away. I know that probably seems counterintuitive, but it's fine. And if you have been on my channel for a long time, you're probably mad at me because I used to do more like stamping and mixing of card making into layouts and stuff. And I hear you. If you're new to my channel, I recommend going and looking through a lot of my older content. I am very much in a season of this crafty life where I would love to stash dive and use stamps and, execute these crazy ideas that sort of live in my brain. But right now, I have different goals. And there's plenty of older content on my channel that you can watch, you can rewatch, you can still get inspiration from, until I sort of come back into a phase where I want to stash dive and, include things like this. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood to color in images, and so these cute little stamps are in the drawer waiting for me when I get to that point. And like I said, I feel like I've had some good subscriber uptick recently, so I know that there's new eyes on my channel, and somebody coming into my channel now I think could possibly be slightly confused. But again, I am just embracing this season that I'm in, where I have a lot of things where I am working with brands and I'm on design teams, and I have this challenge of working with products that are really new, when for years I was stash diving and pulling out old collections that I still loved. The wonderful thing about YouTube, and those of us who have been making crafting content for years, is those videos don't go away. There's over 500 videos living on my channel, and just today I saw a comment from somebody that I've seen on my comment section for, I would say, a while. And she left me a comment on my very first video that said she had gone to my channel, she had changed the filter to have my videos say oldest to newest, and she was working her way starting with that first video. And part of me was embarrassed, and I was like, oh no, don't go back and watch these. And part of me was like, no, you should watch them. One, so you can appreciate my growth, not only in my crafting style, but in my video style, and just the different seasons that I went through in my crafting and what I was sharing on YouTube. At the very beginning of my channel, I cut my teeth learning video editing and stuff by putting together Scrapbook Generation page kits. I loved those kits. Those kits were my bread and butter for a very long time. So definitely check those out. There's a bunch of playlists that I have put different videos together that sort of span, oh gosh, at least 10 years, where it's different things like scene building, bringing in stamps, stash dives, just a lot of stuff. Now, one of the reasons that I chose to do these bookshelves was because I really wanted a place. I've always wanted a place in my craft room to put sentimental items. I have a bunch of stuff that just sort of sits around my house that I wanted to curate together in like a cute little rainbow theme, because if you know me, you know I love a good rainbow moment. And I left this. This was probably only like half of the stuff that I had grabbed really quick. But now that it's up there, I can kind of keep adding to it. I went and grabbed my old Nancy Drew books to put in the middle. So at this point, my yellow section is very big. Some of these things are mine. Some of them are my kids. This cat basket, my daughter used to keep her little to be read section of books on her nightstand until she grew out of it. And I was like, you know what? No, I want her. That doll, I think my paternal great-grandmother made it for me. She died before I ever met her, but she made me a doll. I've kept that doll forever. My daughter played with that doll, and I took it back from her. That little purple crochet dumpster fire is from a viewer that was so kind to make that for me and send it to me last Christmas. And I've had it up above my filming area for like a year. And I love that now it can kind of sit in this purple section on my shelf, and it's in the background when I film. The little dinosaur is from my son. The little Love Thy Selfie is from one of my scrapbook besties from a forum where I used to host a selfie challenge every time we did like a themed event. The little Nomi I got from one of the Scraproom crops that I go to every year. Just all kinds of different things. New, old, things that only make sense to me, but I love keeping them. So this was pretty much everything that I had up here. I took a quick picture. I had to send it to Lisa and show her. And then at this point, this is where I've settled. Like I said, I moved my stitching over next to my markers. I think I just liked having all of the colorful stuff together, but now I'm wondering if I should move it. And I've got a pile of stuff that I still need to deal with. I think this pile sat there for a good little while. And you can see my closet definitely needs a reset as well. But at this point, when I'm showing you guys kind of this recap here, is where I'm out of time. I need to stop, and I have to kind of dive back into things that have deadlines, things that I have scheduled on my channel that I need to make sure that I'm getting edited and posted. And, you know, it's the reset clock. The alarm has gone off. I have to stop, and I have to kind of get back into the content creation and creating fun projects. But I do need to just clean up my work surfaces, and then I will be good. So this next portion of the video is basically more of a traditional clean with me that you guys are used to. I did tackle some electronic issues. I feel like I'm constantly fighting cords and stuff. And this goes back to repurposing things. These letter trays, I had previously been putting the different white paper that I print on, so like Hammermill, copy paper, Nina, like all the different papers that I use, was over by my printer. I've since moved that, stored it in a different method. So what I ended up doing was sliding this over to my computer. And it's really hard to tell because everything's black on black. But now I have like the port where you can plug in like 10 USBs is tucked into one of these. And then all of my external hard drives, everything that needs to be plugged in to the USB. So webcam, microphone, speakers, that type of stuff, all plugs into that. And so this actually worked well. I was kind of surprised. It was just sort of a Band-Aid moment. I was like, we're just going to put stuff on here. And this actually allowed me to clamp the microphone that I purchased a couple months ago. And I'm able to swing it up and out of the way when I'm not using it. I spent a month with it actually clamped like to the desk next to my hip, and it was constantly in the way, but I can't clamp it to my monitor, and I can't clamp it to the back of the desk. So this was the solution that I came up with. And you know what? It's working. It's ugly, but it works, and it's fine. So we're just gonna go with that. So I'm just gonna kind of work my way through. Again, I'm just trying to put things away. I did take a picture of my ugly little setup and I sent it to Lisa, and I was like, hey, look, I dealt with all of my electronics. It's great, isn't it? So ugly, but it's working. I like that I can actually reach everything, and I'm not constantly having to crawl like behind my computer and stuff. And then the acrylic container that I was storing all of this in, I'm going to repurpose it to house different stuff in a different side of my desk. So again, I don't get rid of anything. I just continue to repurpose it and try to find, new life for things. And these, I tend to keep like scraps. My journaling die stays out in there. Trying to think of what else is in there. Usually I keep like a sticky mat over there. It's going to be different for everybody what you tend to keep out on your desk. For me, it's the things that I reach for every time I craft is what I want out and available. Now, this bookcase. You guys, I've had this bookcase since 2002. I never get rid of it because randomly it fits scrapbook sized items. So for now it's staying. I'm gonna keep it. These black boxes are from Hobby Lobby, and I keep 2 of them have Christmas product in it. So one has paper, one has embellishments, and everything's like mixed. One of them is Halloween, one of them is baby, and I can't figure out why I had a 5th one over there. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's Creating with Collections. I keep Creating with Collections in one of those as well, so I had moved it over to the bookcase. I like having these out, even though I don't pull from them very often. I just like the way that they look. It looks like I have my stuff together. It looks like there's important stuff in there. No, it's just holiday mixed up stash, but it's fine. And then not all of these are the same height, which is frustrating. So I'm going to move this box, and I'm going to talk about this box in a minute. This one is the only one that fits the We Are Memory Keepers albums that I use, so I'm going to put them up there. The majority of my albums live downstairs. However, at this point, if you've been on my channel for a while, you know I'm trying to finish 2020. So those 2 albums are up here, and then I've also kept 21 through 25 up here because I seem to be pulling photos and working on projects within those years. So those albums don't have a ton of layouts in them. So it just makes sense to my brain to keep them up here where I can kind of pull from them and put stuff away in them a little bit quicker. Don't get me wrong, I still have a ton of layouts to put away, but we're going to do that in another video. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, this cardboard box that's going to go down here on this shelf used to live in my closet. It's now at least made its presence into my room. This is my UFO box. In this box are items that I am going to try to tackle throughout this year. I would like to at least once a month pull something out of it. And if you don't know, a UFO in the crafting world is basically an unfinished project. So there's stuff in there that it needs embellishing, it needs journaling, it needs something. At some point, I stopped in the middle of the process and I need to go back and finish it. So this, again, you can see the craft stacks are at the top. I've moved things around. I have my Simple Stories projects kind of on deck. This is where I'm keeping stuff that I'm working on. So like month in review, creating the collections, layouts that are done and I want to do a layout share on, and then layouts that need a date because, there's always a pile of those. So this I have happily lived with for a while. It's working. The craft stacks, I ended up moving up to the top because all of those 12 by 12 bins, the only place that they would fit was down on the bottom right. So the craft stacks got moved to the top left, which is fine because those aren't things that I continually pull and put away. I pull, do the project, reuse it. Now, you're going to see some stuff in this video that has not been there's no process video on my channel yet because I haven't done them yet. So if you see something, just treat it like a nice little treat. You got a sneak peek. So enjoy it and, don't tell anybody type of thing. Jumping ahead about a month in time, I lived with my setup. I worked in my setup. Everything was great. I had to do a bunch of work, make a bunch of stuff, make a bunch of videos. This day, I was actually getting to listen to the season 1 finale of our podcast and kind of doing a QC listen through. It's probably one of my favorite things. I think my job is to listen for any weird parts, which I do make sure to tell Lisa, but really I'm just enjoying the content. I feel like when we record, half the time I forget what we've talked about. And then by the time she gets it edited and posted to where I can go preview it, I'm like, oh, I don't remember talking about this, or oh, that's good info, good information on us. So this was definitely good cleaning motivation for me. So if you need some cleaning motivation or some crafty motivation, there are 10 episodes out. They are on podcast platforms. They are also listed on both of our YouTube channels. So if a lot of people are telling me that they're doing in the comments is they'll watch episode 1 on my channel, episode 2 on Lisa's channel, and they try to kind of share the views and that type of thing. I know a lot of people who are listening while they're driving and stuff prefer the podcast platforms, and if you're going to listen in a way that works best for you. The only difference by listening via YouTube is that helps kind of support our channel monetarily. We are not at a place where the podcast platforms are doing that, and we're okay with that. We are more just having fun providing craft related listening type of stuff. So having worked on stuff for a month, my room desperately needed to be cleaned up. At this point, I was like, I want to start the year right. Not right or wrong, but you know what I mean? I needed to go into 2026 at least a little cleaner than where my room was at right now. And while I'm cleaning this, I do want to go off on a slight tangent because, that's what we do in Clean With Me videos. I've seen so many comments coming in recently, and it's probably podcast related. It could be, I never know. Sometimes it's new subscribers, sometimes it's people coming back. I am very much a you do you person. So that's how I approach my channel. That's how I approach the content that I want to make. That's how I approach the things that I do in my craft room, or the things that I like to do, the things that I love to do, the things that I like to work with. Somebody left me a comment regarding, I've had a significant dip in views, I would say, in the last year or so. And I kind of chalked some of it up to having been picked up on a couple larger design teams, and sometimes that gives people the ick. I just want anybody to know that if you ever see me working with a brand or being on a team, it's not for status or getting free product or anything like that. I love those types of challenges, and I love working with those brands. And if I continue to work with those brands, just know that it is because the product is good, the people are good, and the experience on my end and my perspective is good, and that's somewhere that I want to stay. And then that's the content that I'm going to put out. I've been doing some more like card videos and stuff on my channel, which I don't want anybody to freak out and think that I'm going to give up scrapbooking and start doing card making. No, it's more of an addition. It's not a replacement. It's something else that I love, and I just never sort of allowed myself to dedicate the time to it. And now that I have, I love it. Like, I love die cutting and putting scenes together, whether it's on a small canvas like a card or a larger canvas like a layout. I'm always going to do the things that I like to do. In the case of design teams, the comment that was left was sometimes they feel as if the video person is saying that they love this product and they love this and they love that, and it doesn't come across genuine. And my hope is to never do that. I'm not always going to love a collection, but as a representative of that brand, I'm going to do my best to not like say I don't like this collection, because it's not that any of the collections are bad or that they're ugly. They're all beautifully designed. It just might not be something that's my personal style or something that I would normally gravitate to. And so when I'm assigned a collection like that, those are the ones that I typically sit and really think about. The Simple Stories Junk Drawer collection is one that comes to mind because that video is probably going to post in another week or two, I would say. I want to say around the 10th of January, but I'm not 100% sure what my assigned date was. That is a collection that I don't know that I would have ever intentionally purchased. And thinking about that collection unlocked like a memory and unlocked a story that I needed to work through at that time. And the layout that I made, I love. I will always take product, whether I purchased it, whether I received it from a design team, whether I got it in a mystery box. I'm going to find a way to make that product work for me. And by extension, I'm going to show you guys how I made that product work for me so that it helps motivate you guys to make things work for you. Just because I'm doing a layout about a homecoming parade and the cheerleading squad walking by, and that's not something that is an event in your house, I'm hoping that you're looking at the design of the layout and you're thinking, oh, I have 3 horizontal photos as well, and I have a different collection, and I'm going to swap out the stars that Nicole used, and I'm going to swap them out for beach themed icons, and I'm going to put 3 photos at the beach. Like, my intention is many faceted. If you have the same collection and you want to scrap lift me, I'm going to show you how to do it. If you like the way that the photos are arranged and you want to substitute your own product, do that. If you want to just put on something that is crafty and you like the sound of my voice, or you like the things that I say in a video, or you like my personality, that's okay too. We like content for different reasons. If you don't like the specific layout, I would suggest that you either look at it with your supplies and your photos and maybe see if there's something that you can take away and repurpose into your layouts, or just consume the content as it is. And I don't know, maybe leave me a comment down below on process videos and kind of let me know, did you watch it because you like the theme, or you like the product, or you really liked the sketch? That type of thing. Now, I am showing a little peek into how I take my photos right now. Normally I like to take them downstairs and do it in front of a window downstairs. However, for some reason, winter, the sun, it's not working for me. Plus my Christmas tree is up in that area. So I'm shooting in my craft room, which it's fine. I've learned that it's better for me and my room and my window and my camera setup. Again, so many variations. You do you gotta figure out what's gonna work for you. What works for me is to put my stuff in the middle of the room like this, where the light is sort of bouncing off of everything. The closer I go towards that window, the more overexposed, the more blown out, the more shadows are going to appear in my photos. So by pulling away from the window, but still being where you are saturated in as much light as possible, works for me. I also use my DSLR camera because that works for me. I just hate doing things on my phone. I like my phone for my phone. I like to text on it. I like to talk on it. I like to take pictures of it, but not craft pictures, because then I got to get them off. Another thing I'm switching up, I had like a really big, cute, funny board that I was using to put Post-it notes on and kind of move projects. It was too big. I couldn't reach it, and the generic Post-it notes don't stick to it very well. So I just grabbed a little cork board from Walmart. I think I threw it on my grocery order. I just needed something that was smaller, more manageable. I can reach it from my computer, which ultimately is where I do a lot of this type of work. And I basically give myself, I think I have 6 like zones. And so I have it separated into like 6 columns that I can basically put Post-it notes on here with push pins. And I use different color Post-it notes for different either series, brands. I think of them as jobs in my mind. So like blue, spellbinders. I have a lot of spellbinder stuff I need to do. Hot pink, Bella Boulevard, because it's bright and it's pretty. I think Simple Stories, I think I do yellow. I don't know. So when I get like a calendar and they're like, hey, we want you on this day and we want you to use this collection, I will fill out my Post-it note with that basic information. And then when I sit down to plan what I want to do is when I make notes on that Post-it note of the date, my photos that I'm thinking of using, if I'm going to use a sketch, if I'm going to modify something, if I need to make myself a note to remember to use something like Bella Boulevard. A lot of times we get these fun challenges where it's like, hey, use a Bella Pop. Hey, use puffy stickers. I make a note on that. I also make sure that I write down like the due date that I need to send it to somebody else, and then the date that I need to upload my video or promote it, or, you know, that kind of thing. You guys, I am somewhat organized. It's just is not aesthetically pleasing, okay? A lot of times it's in my brain or on a Post-it note, and this is a way for me to see all my Post-it notes. Another thing I want to note, if you've made it this far, I asked for a glassboard studio mat for Christmas. I loved the white one. However, white on white makes my camera bounce. So I got gray. I love the mat. It is glass. It is so easy to clean. I really like working on top of it. The self-healing one has so many holes in it from stitching. But I do want to point out that because it is glass and I have overhead lights, there's going to be glare. I am a little bit worried about the reaction to there being glare from viewers. However, I'm going to see how the next 5 to 6 videos and see if anybody complains about it. I don't notice it when I'm working. I don't know if I'll notice it when I edit the videos. I'm hoping that it's okay. If not, I'm going to have to look into some sort of diffusing a situation. So I just want to put that out there. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys here. Hopefully you enjoyed my little dumpster fire room clean with me. Hopefully you got some insight into some stuff on my channel. I love you guys. Hit subscribe if you're one of the viewers who's not subscribed. I see you guys on my back end. Come join me. Come have fun. Check out some other content, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.